Leafs Talk, JD Bunkis, Sam McKee. Better, I guess, like more watchable of a hockey game if you're a Toronto Maple Leaf fan.
Yeah, rock fight for a lot of it. What you'd probably expect from the two best buddies in Berube and Rick Tocchet, who hate offense, who hate hockey. So bit of a rock fight at times, but I know a thrilling tying goal late. William Nylander hits one hard on the power play, a end-to-end 3-on-3, and I will say some filthy skill in the shootout from the Flyers. Like that, the Michkov dangle, the Zegras stuff. Really, really nasty on both of those goals. But yeah, definitely more watchable. I don't have any grand takeaways from it, but I didn't want to pull my eyeballs out the entire night. So that's good.
Listen, so you texted me during the first period, feels a lot like the Ottawa game. And I replied, they already have 3 shots. How can you say such a thing? That's more than they had the entire first against the Senators. And that was about like 4 minutes in. From that point forward, the Leafs got caved in. They tried to play dump and chase, and the Flyers were perfectly content with that because they're faster and they were collecting pucks, firing them out of the zone, and breaking out well against the Leafs. And basically that first period ended up being like, the Flyers are absolutely going to run away with this game. Credit to the Maple Leafs. They played one of their better periods in a long time, and I would include against the Edmonton Oilers, who just laid down in the street like dogs in that hockey game.
Vancouver they might just suck too, though. Like they're not very good.
Yeah, they might just suck too. That's definitely potential. Oilers suck watch is like, how many times have we seen a clip of Leon Draisaitl go something along the lines of like, can't score 6 goals.
We suck. Our coaches suck. The whole team sucks. It's every night.
I know. Every time I see Edmonton Oilers media clips, it's Mark Spector asking Connor McDavid a brutally difficult question, or Leon Draisaitl like complaining about how they let in too many goals. Anyways,
did you see Bowman today? He's like, our defense has really been struggling. Our defense from our defensemen, forwards, and our goalies too. And it's like, so the whole team.
So you don't play defense. Your team. Anyway, the Leafs played, I thought, a really plucky, solid second period, which is how I'm going to frame tonight's show to you. Is apparently the scouting boxes were jam-packed tonight.
Okay.
Like the scouts were out. The Sabres had a bunch of representation.
A lot of quarter zips up there, bud. The quarter zips were popping in the media.
The quarter zips were out tonight watching the Toronto Maple Leafs. And thank God, because it looks like ticket sales in that lower bowl weren't doing too well. So hopefully they, maybe the Leafs are going to ask the scouts to start chipping in and paying for their seats because they need to make good on the lost sales down the stretch here. But in that second period, I thought, like, in particular, the Nick Waugh line played well, for example. I do have a couple of notes, but the way I'm going to frame tonight is like, if you're a scout and you were watching this game and you're from the opposing teams, who do you think actually popped to you? And who do you think actually kind of left something to be desired?
All of them. The whole bottom 6, specifically the ones with term.
Yeah. No, but so true. That's exactly what's your report back, bud? Empty the coffers, boys. These guys.
This Dakota Joshua, size, grit.
Yeah.
Can shoot it in the net.
Drew a penalty late in the game with his size that resulted in the game-tying goal. That's the kind of thing that you need. Okay, so I'm just going to start with this because I'll begin it with, I thought that this was a really good showcase for Nick Waugh. He was spectacular in this hockey game, and it was just like, this was the full Nick Waugh experience, and it hasn't been there as of late, right? Like, what forwards are you supposed to point to and say, like, hey, they've been really quality tonight? But I just thought this was a game where when it started to shift for the Maple Leafs, it's because Nick Waugh started to get in on the forecheck. Matthias Michelli was able to make some plays and find some players around the net with some like in-tight passes. And that this line in particular, I thought kind of got the Leafs going and allowed them to start building shifts on top of shifts. And so to me tonight, if there was one guy that really stuck out in a market that's very hungry for centers, and granted, I understand that if the Toronto Maple Leafs are trying to retool, probably not the first guy you want to give up, especially if Scott Laughton's going to be on the trade block.
Yeah.
But I thought this was like if I was a scout, if I was with the Buffalo Sabres, if I was with one of those other organizations that was sitting up that night, I'd be having a conversation about what it would take for us to get Nick Waugh.
Yeah, I like that from you. I will say, especially the way he looked tonight and just the pedigree, right?
Yep.
I mean, the amount of big games that this guy's played in over, I mean, the last 4 or 5 seasons playing with Vegas, obviously wins the cup as the third line center there when they beat Florida in the final. I've liked his game a lot at times. I do think that he maybe is better on a good team where he's playing even lower in the lineup and has even less responsibility.
Yeah, if you got 12 minutes a night, you're feeling phenomenal about that.
But what you see from him from time to time is the ability to play physical, good forechecker, and when he needs to mix in a little toe drag or a touch of skill, he does have it. So I thought he pass. Yeah, I thought that line. I'm glad you brought them up because they were going to be my biggest positive from this game tonight. I thought you felt, and this is the line right at the start of the year, the Marner replacement line, the 3 guys that everybody had to take before the year. It's like, well, surely these 3 guys will get 100 points combined to replace Marner's production. That take really aged like milk. But I do like Nick Waugh, and you could definitely have the conversations about keeping him for me. I think he's a valuable guy on a team. Like if you're trying to be good, I think he can contribute. But if somebody's willing to overpay for him, send him on his merry way. But yeah, I thought that was the least best line by far tonight, and they just kind of set the tone.
Listen, this is going to be the case with all the guys with term you're not just going to trade them now for bits and pieces.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be more the conversation with the pending free agents, obviously, if you don't think that they're going to be coming back. But yeah, like I had a really good talk today with Dave Pagnotta on my show. People should go listen to it. It's in the second hour of my podcast if you didn't get an opportunity.
Yeah, I listened. He gave some juicy stuff today.
We had a really good conversation, and he mentioned that this year at the draft there might actually be more activity given the nature of free agency this year, that some teams are going to be looking for guys. And so while I'm always an advocate of try to trade guys now because you get the two runs at a cup, like if you're trading for Waugh, teams are more desperate because they actually have an understanding of what it is that they want, that maybe you might be able to get a sufficient price if you decide to pivot and go in a different direction in the offseason. So you have time with these guys. Yeah. What I would say though is like, if you're in the retool crowd right now, like if you're a Maple Leaf fan and you're sitting here and you're like, I've got my guys circled who I want to keep. For me personally, like I'm not going to say that's crazy. Like you want to keep Nick Waugh for next year if you think that this team can be competitive because he's a fine player. But the idea for me that there would be anybody on this team outside of the most obvious 3-4 guys, if you're going to include Easton Cowan.
And even then, baby.
Yeah, but it's like, and you're telling me watching this product this year that you can't do without Nick Waugh, or you can't find a way to replace something close-ish to Nick Waugh in free agency while accumulating assets. That's nuts. So to me, I think that there's going to be more buzz around him over the coming days. And it wouldn't actually surprise me if one of the guys with term that ends up going out the door is Nick Waugh, because the league is so center hungry. He's got that pedigree, and he had the game that he had tonight, which was like, this was a good game for him for scouts.
Yeah, definitely. He's shining. He's shone when the lights are brightest for his general manager.
Well, tonight was freedom night. Like this was like, if you're a gladiator, you got to go in the ring and you got to fight well if somebody's going to buy you.
You're going to get out of this hellhole.
Yeah, you got to win in the arena to be able to buy your freedom and get the wooden sword like Maximus. So that was those guys tonight in front of the scouts.
But just to your point, like I think that for me is why I'm looking ahead to this deadline and am really wanting a ton of change. Like they're like, well, they're going to suck next year if they get rid of all these. They're going to suck next year if they keep these guys.
Yeah,
suck this year.
That's
like sure you can make the Tanev conversation injuries and schedule, but look at Tampa Bay's decor. I mean, half their guys have been out all year long, and they are the best team in the league. So I find that the reason for most change is that you just kind of need it for the sake of it, to try some new guys, to try something different.
I think they need to try to overhaul as much of this roster as possible. Like
exactly.
The more you can swap
as much as possible, and it's going to be hard, but like running back the band of characters next year is not the answer for me. It's trying it with a bunch of new guys, and if it doesn't work, then you have the real rebuild conversation. So good night for Nick Waugh.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go because I don't want to spend this much time on each guy on this game on the Flyers, but I'm gonna just go with this. This was my kind of list of the good showcase. I had Waugh as the best showcase. I had OEL good showcase, Lawton good showcase.
Yeah, I thought Lawton loves playing the Flyers, but he was so noticeable tonight. He could have had a couple goals. He stole one in front of the net, shot it way wide. He had a clapper that kind of fooled Vladar at one point. He's a good penalty killer. I mean, it's an easy one for a scout if you're watching him play. He's a plug and play guy that if you're a Stanley Cup contending team, you can put him on your roster, play him 11 or 12 minutes, maybe less than that, 8, 9 in a big playoff game. And you know what you're going to get. He's going to kill penalties. He's going to play hard. He's not going to make any brain farts. And he's a guy that's valuable. Like, I think he's one of the easiest guys to scout, that you go back to your general manager and you're like, yeah, he's solid defensively. And everything you hear from everybody who you talk to around the team is everybody loves him and he's a glue guy. He's the easiest sell for me. Like, if I'm a contender, I'm really looking at him. And he can play up the lineup. If you try him in the wing, although Berube's never done it once, he's got a touch of skill. Never tried it. Never tried it once, but it's something that they could do.
Never gave him one look up top. It's one of the most infuriating things about the trade for him, which is like, yeah, man, you gave up a first and a prospect, and you never even thought to say, like, hey, this guy, what about an opportunity when so many others, like, you think Matthias Michelli deserved more of an opportunity to get looks up the lineup than Scott Laughton did this season? I think that's a real failing.
Even tonight, you know, they put these new lines out there. You're trying everything. Your season's done. Could you just put him on the wing with Tavares and Nyes for one night? Like, I know it's Max Domi's birthday. Got to play him in the top 6. Well, you can have cake after the game. Like, you know, just put him at just a 4th line center. Sorry, bud. Happy birthday. You're playing with Laughton, with Lorentz and Cowan. I've never understood we've had this conversation 100 times this year. It has to go back to the first impressions from Berube when he had him in Philly. You can't convince me otherwise. But yeah, I think as a scout, wearing my quarter zip and my khakis, one of the easiest sells you're going to have to your general manager is Laughton. There's not a lot of problems with him as a 4th line, kind of 3rd line guy. Yeah,
that's it. I think that's bang on. What I would say though, by the way, I forgot to close with this thought. If you're the Leafs and you're trading Nick Waugh, and you're looking at what you gave up for Scott Laughton a year ago at similar money, same kind of term, 2 years, similar player, similar role, with a little bit more, I would say, reliability just in terms of the pedigree of it all.
Yeah, these GMs love guys who have won cups and played in big games.
Like, I would say that if you're the Leafs, you're looking for something kind of similar to that trade package. You're probably going to get a little less because True Living overpaid. But yeah, that's what you're hoping to return back if you're trading Nick Waugh, to replenish what you lost in Laughton. The one thing I'll say about
a 3rd and a 2nd round pick and a decent prospect is what you're looking for.
Yeah, I would be looking.
You're not going to get a first, I don't think.
Yeah, probably not. But I would say that a 3rd is too light. You got to get at least a 2nd round pick and a prospect of some value who can step in your lineup and get a look this season. That would be pretty much the bare minimum for me to consider Waugh. With Laughton, the one thing that makes it complicated, for me anyways, is like, I just like the player. I think that he's a good like solution guy in terms of culture. Removing him, like, he is absolutely not an issue for me. I get why you have to move him. Like, Elliott's reporting that he and the Leafs are far apart on a contract extension. He's an older player who's looking to cash in. But there was a couple of things I noticed tonight that really pissed me off about the idea that this guy's going to be going out the door, which is, did you see how he interacts with Cowan on the bench? They're chatting the entire
He's the
night.
Only guy that talks in the whole team, dude.
I know. And I'm like, you think that like Nylander is going to have big conversations with Easton Cowan on the bench the rest of the year, that like the Max don't like, it's just, this guy brings a totally different energy and intangible that, like, I know he's talking to him about what he's seeing out there, what he's trying to communicate to a younger player. And I looked at that and I went, damn it. If you had more good young players, you'd be trying to prioritize bringing a guy like Scott Laughton back and saying like, yeah, this is the type of vet we want these guys learning from. And instead they're going to have to ship him out the door because they're a bad team. He doesn't make sense. And they've spent money in other bad areas. Anyway.
No, but like, you're so right about, I mean, I went on with Ailes and Justin before the game and they were asking me who the guy is that, you know, would leave that I'd be upset if they traded him. And it's not that I'm going to be upset that they traded Laughton because you know,
it's also understandable. Like, you don't want to pay him either.
No, but I think the way they've done the Laughton thing has just sucked. Yep. It hasn't worked from day one. And it's injury. It was a slow start last year where he was finding his feet in the locker room, didn't score. People were questioning him, all this different stuff. He gets hurt at the start of this year, kind of gets into it. Then the team starts sucking. Like, I just think he was the right guy at the wrong time.
Yep.
You know, totally agree. 2 years ago on this team when they were contending, or 3 years ago on this team when they're contending, it would have been all right. It just the Laughton experience, the folk hero aspect of Laughton for me is underplayed, and it could have been way better if it was a little earlier. Just sucks. Sucks.
Yep. Again, I thought OEL had a good night. I didn't think Carlo was great. Carlo took a really brutal penalty where he gets stepped around in open space, and you're like,
he elbowed. Who did he elbow on the way by?
Bad.
Did not get a penalty.
Yeah.
I don't want to turn it into a Morgan Riley hour.
Sure, but you're not really showcasing it. Like this is just like the showcase.
I'd like Carlo. I'd like him a lot in those 3 games without Riley.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that you're kind of carrying the weight of the world around on your shoulders when you're playing with him. He's brutal, man.
I think again, Carlo's more of a known commodity. Teams know what they're getting with the right shot. I'm just saying, like,
I would hold on to Carlo.
Yeah, not me.
Unless you're getting a great return,
sure.
I think I think there's something there with him. I don't know. I'm not going to trade him considering what you traded for him to get him. He's 29 years old. He's 6'5". He shoots right. He's been hurt a lot here. There's been all this stuff. He's playing with Riley. I think there's somebody in there. Like, I could be way off, but I don't think he's this bad. I don't. I really don't.
This is the same equation for me on all these guys. Like, I can put the same caveat out there, which is like, you're not trading the guys with term for nothing. You're just not. But
such a beer league play, by the way, right there.
But if you're getting something, I don't know, man. I'm
just
again
fall.
tonight is purely, the segment is purely, if you're scouting tonight's game, did you think a guy had a good night where you're going back and being like, man, we saw a lot there? And I don't think Carlo had one of those nights. I thought Steven Lorentz was fine. There's some buzz around him when it comes to the deadline. I thought that he had like a very Steven Lorentz-y game. He got out on
Steven Lorentz.
Yeah, there's a little buzz on Steven Lorentz.
I'll drive him to the airport.
Yeah. Now let's get to the big one, though. What'd you think of the McMahon showcase?
Kind of reminded me,
because they put him up on the top line and they said, "Here we go." Like, this is
kind of reminded me of the last 3 games.
Yeah, same.
Is there a world where he just wants to be a Leaf so bad he's just like sewering his own mouth?
No, because here's the thing. This is my prevailing takeaway from the Matthews and Nylander line with Bobby McMahon.
Nobody passes.
If the reports are correct that Bobby McMahon wants $5 million, right? And that the Leafs aren't going to give him 5, but that they would settle somewhere closer to 4. And again, like today when I was talking to Pagnotta, he mentioned like, hey, did they try to give him more turn? Like, do they make it a 6-year deal to get him the $25 million number? And I went, oh no, like again, I've made my take very clear. I would rather have him walk in free agency at the end of this season than re-sign Bobby McMahon to term and a number like that, even in the escalating cap. It's just my opinion. I don't think that he is the type of player. Well, I just don't think that he's the type of player that they should be reinvesting in and thinking like, hey, there's more to give here, right? Like there's something else that's going to happen. Like your premise with Carlo is, hey, you remove him from Riley as a full healthy season.
Yeah.
He has more to give. I think you're tapping out the maximum value of what Bobby McMahon is with a season like this. And here you have a bunch of games after the deadline, after the deadline. I keep calling it that, but it's like, after the Olympic break, where Bobby McMahon just really hasn't flashed anything. And tonight, if you're thinking about the idea that even he was making $4.5 million, right? Like they settled down the middle. You're talking about a line that's going to be near $30 million that you had tonight with Matthews, Nylander, and McMahon. And how many shifts did you feel like, boy, they're killing it 5-on-5? 4 or 5 shifts tonight where they were like good?
Not many.
Like Nylander scores on the power play and he draws that penalty.
God, he hit that puck hard. Holy crap.
Yes.
On the power play. Jeez.
Credit to him. And we all know what Matthews and Nylander can do on 3-on-3. And that's why they stayed out there. Matthews had a 2-minute shift because he's aching to break his goalless streak.
It's not like he had any chances to change.
Yeah. Like it was pretty transparent what he's trying to do tonight. Like he's got 8 games in a row without a goal and he's starting to feel it. But I just looked at McMahon on that line tonight and I went, nothing special here. Never really made a play. Never really did anything spectacular. And that line, if you're talking about it being like a $30 million line, by the way, like some accountability for Matthews and Nylander too, where it's like, you're the 2 stars of this team playing the Philadelphia Flyers and you can't get a 0.5-on-5. And you're, by the way, they were on the ice for the go-ahead goal, the 2-1 goal.
Yeah.
Just should be noted, like, of course, Morgan Riley was on there too, looking
in his office.
In his office, staring at it. But it's like, one of the things about that goal, by the way, just quick side note, is like, boy, do the Leafs love giving up the zone. Like they love it. It's their favorite thing. Any team that can carry the puck, transport the puck at all, the Leafs just back off completely. Like, take it. We're all going to collapse to the middle of the ice. You just take the zone. You play with it on the outside. And we're going to hope and pray that you turn it over. And in this case, they didn't.
If you're watching on Sportsnet Plus or YouTube, I hope you're not, because that is as dog's breakfast of a goal to give up. Like you said, let them gain the zone.
Yeah.
Puck battles lost. Men lost the middle of the ice.
Yeah. Everybody's scrambling.
Great defensive shift for 74. What a showcase.
I know.
Yeah. I think with the Bobby McMahon contract, dude, like you already got a Dakota Josh. Like you live quick enough to be, or long enough to become a Dakota Joshua contract.
That's totally what his contract is going to become.
It's just, you got 3 of those already.
Yeah.
You got Domi, you got Michelli, you got him. Yeah. It's like, don't have another middling guy that you're not sure is a top 6, that you're not sure is a bottom 6 and makes $2 million too much.
Yeah.
Leafs got enough of those guys. So
totally agree. I thought if I was leaving this game and I watched Bobby McMahon,
I forgot about that turnover there too.
Yeah. I'm just saying, if I'm a scout and I watch this game with Bobby McMahon, I'm coming away with the report and they're like, what do you think we should give up? And I'd be like, I don't know. You could probably find somebody else.
4th.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm done with the scouting profiles of tonight. Like, I don't think there's anybody else we're talking about. I got only a couple of other like tiny little rapid fires. You got anything else big?
Yeah. Rapid fire for me.
Yeah.
The 3-on-3 was PTSD. I hadn't watched a hockey game 3-on-3 since last Sunday morning.
I hate you for bringing this up.
And it just like, as soon as it started, I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, I hate this so much.
Cool. As if Leafs talk wasn't painful enough right now. You're like, you have to go there.
Listen, we're doing how we feel. Like, this is a feel show. I talk about feelings. It's how I feel.
Keep that to yourself.
As soon as it was 3-on-3, I was like, I forgot how much this sucks.
I've genuinely had moments where it's like grief, where I'm like happy that I wasn't thinking about it for like a couple of hours. And then
here's what I'll say. Like, I saw, you see like the last Monday, Tuesday, just hell on earth. And then I see like the wake up Barstool content. I see all that stuff and they're screaming at each other about Duke basketball again. I'm like, made it through. We made it through. Like, we're through the battles.
The worst is over. The worst is over.
Sure. The worst. It's always darkest before the dawn. We're through.
For me, 3 quick little tiny rapid fire things. Yeah. One is just like another penalty for Cowan, 200 feet from his net. I feel like he's done this a lot this season. And for him, one of the focuses of this offseason and down the stretch, frankly, is going to have to be like, hey man, how do you play with that energy? How do you get in on forechecks, but also avoid those kind of like guy baits you in, rookie mistakes? Like that's a part for his game where I'm like, that's got to be an easy growth that you start to see a difference, because he's done this a ton this year. That's what I mean. I was like, dude, we can't be having these ones anymore. Like, whatever. A lot of growing pains are going to be fine. Mm-hmm. The penalties like that, where you're just trying to do too much, you're trying to make fetch happen. I can't have those ones anymore.
And his boy Denver Barkey did one too. And at the end of the game, which was an even worse time for it. And they ended up losing. Ended up tying it on that power play. So yeah, anyways.
Other rapid fire thing for me. I would never want to watch Trevor Zegras play hockey every night. Like, it is like the penalty shot is tantalizing, right? Like the skill level, and like when he's got the puck on his stick, he plays with a lot of control. But I don't know if I've ever seen a player more allergic to the corners than Trevor Zegras. Like, if I was doing video room stuff and I just started to clip all the different plays where he had an opportunity to try to go to a corner and make a play and just declined.
Here's a take for you. Trevor Zegras is what like uncles think Nylander is.
Yeah. I mean,
there's some truth to what Nylander is.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, I don't know.
But this is the extreme version of it.
Yeah.
This is the extreme version of it.
Holy man.
How filthy was that shootout goal? Oh my God.
Disgusting. Like, so again, that's the worst thing, is that people be like, what, you're going to give up on skill? But I watched him play, and all I could think of was they really tried to make this guy like the face of the league.
Yeah, he's having a good year. He's having a good year.
Sure, man.
I think he's already got 20 goals. I think he's almost got 50 or 60 points this year. He's having a good year.
Sure.
Reclamation project.
Hey, listen, any Flyers fan watching, go ahead, like, enjoy.
I think they like him there.
Good. Like good, man. He had his game against the Ducks where he was like, he did the hang up thing and he's like,
that was a good Sally.
He's got some swagger to him. Like, I don't dislike the person. I just shift after shift watching him be like, oh, this guy, like when they say allergic to the corners, I'm always like, oh, it's usually a bit of an overreaction. This guy is like, that it's as bad as it
doesn't want to go there.
Oh my God. Like he refuses. Like he will not do it.
We should have Borny on next Leafs Talk and just talk about your guys' mutual hate for Zegras. I'm not sure.
Oh, he doesn't like Zegras?
Oh my God. It's his least favorite player in the league.
Oh, dude, I totally get why. I texted a couple of people tonight around the league and was like, yo, this Zegras thing, like I get it. And I immediately got back like, you want me to read one text?
Yes, please.
Yeah, here's one. Here's one text I got back from somebody. Hold on, let me find it. Okay. Can't win with kids like that. Impossible to break those habits.
I'll when we're done, I'll text you exactly who texted you that. The last thing before we go, Drysdale. I was watching Drysdale, and I thought he actually had some moments tonight. Local kid, I don't want to slag on him, but have you watched any Cutter Gauthier this year? Oh my God, Cutter Gauthier is going to be one of the top studs in the league. American guy. Philly traded him because he was a little bit sour, and they got like Jamie Drysdale and a couple picks.
Yeah.
Cutter Gauthier, Mark, like that's their Cowan. I'm sorry, not their Cowan, they're Minton. That's that's going to be one of the trades that haunts them forever and looks back on as one of like the brutal trades. And I
can't hate on as much though, because he wanted out of there and he was a big crybaby about it.
Yeah, but boy, he's going to be crying all the way to multiple 50-goal seasons in Team America. Like he is going to be next best on best. I'll promise you that Cutter Gauthier is prominently featured for the U.S. team. So there's no passionate Americans in Philly, so they won't be too upset about it.
Last rapid fire thing was just like, Luke got it wrong guessing who it was. And you're gonna get it wrong too, because you and I don't talk about this person. But so
sources, JD sources. You breaking anything this break there, Elliot? Or
buddy, you like I was texting you today how I was like filtering in like the questions to the like I'm in bugging people mode right now. Like give me some. I don't bug all year. I don't bug all year. I leave the numbers alone. I leave the people alone. I do my job, and then it's trade deadline time. Like I want to get a little bit of information.
Wet the beak.
Well, I just want to know like a little bit of stuff, like just to inform the right things to even ask the people who know more stuff. Anyway, point is, that Michkov penalty or the shootout goal was. Truly disgusting. And I was like, oh my God, like this is like the guys coming up now. Like it kind of sucks that 3-on-3. This was my take. That 3-on-3 has gotten kind of boring and we all hate it on the penalties. But now
the shootout, the shootout's the rocks.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is like now there's so much skill in the league. Like I remember the first like shootout that we saw. It was Jason Blake and he came down.
Jason Allison.
No, Jason Blake took a shot on, or maybe it wasn't the first one, but
the first one ever was Leaf Sens.
Yes.
And Jason Allison is still going right now.
Yes. So
it was the slowest penalty shot in the history of the league.
The reason why I have a Jason Blake one in my mind is because it was also a Senators game in the penalties. And
I
made a bet and I was like, I bet you he scores, Jason. He did not. And I lost at a bar when I was in Carleton University. But like you think about the skill level of when they first brought penalties in to guys now where it's like the Michkovs of the world, like, oh my God, it's way more entertaining than 3-on-3.
It's awesome. And man, poor old Jason Blake, never been a more snake bit guy in the history of the league than his first month with the Leafs.
Yeah.
If two of those go in, he scores 50 goals to start his Leafs career. Yeah. He led the league in shots and he had 0 goals. I've never seen anything like it.
Well, and I also interviewed him. Most underrated season ever. The guy was taking cancer medicine.
He was so sick. He was so
dropped
sick.
Like tons of weight and still went out there and battled and played games. It's like, that
was a great interview.
Tell the NBA boys about Jason Blake and his season playing all those games. Is they're like, load management again tonight? They're like, we got to put in a rule, 65 games.
Hey, NBA's heating up though, brother. I watched a bit of that that OKC Thunder game. Oh, sorry, OKC Nuggets game. Yeah. Real hate. It's heating up here. No, Edwards a good time.
This was a take I did today on my show. Is like you gotta love the Thunder because the other teams actually hate them, so they bring the best out in the other top teams in the West because they know they're the bar and they can't stand their players because they're a bunch of cornballs. Anyway,
Lou Dort.
Yeah, dirty.
Bag.
That was a dirtbag.
That was nasty, man.
Yeah,
I was like, what are you
I said
doing?
that's the equivalent in basketball of I size that up knee on knee play.
Yep, totally. It was nasty.
Like, yeah, lower body dirtbag play, like truly dirtbag. Save it for Canada, buddy. Save it for Canada.
Like when you're playing against one of the greasy, like the Euro teams, save it for those games.
Save it for that. Anyways, all right, we're out of here. Subscribe to the podcast, leave 5 stars, reach out anytime at JD Bunkis at Sam McKee. See you tomorrow morning, and we'll see you Wednesday night.